Hello everyone and welcome to the 8th episode of my Gears of War Judgment gameplay series. Now in this video I'm basically going to be focusing on OverRun and explaining to you all the sort of tips and tactics and the things that you should be doing to succeed at this game mode. Now I love OverRun. I think it's one of the, well, it is the best game mode on Judgment in my opinion. It's the most fair. Every time I lose I feel like, you know, it hasn't been because of bullshit or anything like that. It's been because I deserve to lose. And every time I win, I feel like, you know, I deserve to win. And at this moment in time, I've won 50 games of OverRun and lost 10. So, you know, I'm still learning the game itself, but I would say that I'm reasonably good and good enough certainly to give you tips on, you know, what you need to be doing. So in OverRun there's lots of tactics basically, and I'm not going to go, you know, in depth into every single tactic that you can possibly use, and really that would take far too many videos to discuss. What I'm going to do in this video and the next video is give you a general, you know, overview, kind of for those people who, you know, they might find it boring or they haven't given it enough of a chance, something like that. But the chances are, you know, if you do find it boring or you know you just don't really you don't enjoy it that much, chances are you just don't understand it enough, because you know it's a very deep game mode, and there is a lot to it, and when you uncover all those things that you can do, that's when, you know, you get into the enjoyment part of it. So yeah, I'm just basically going to, you know, let you guys know the things that you should be doing, things that you shouldn't be doing. With in this video we're focusing on the COG classes, and then in the next video I'm going to be doing all the Locust classes, and the video that you're actually watching is the first round, obviously the COG round of one whole OverRun game, and then the next video it'll be the Locust round. So obviously, you know, it's quite a long game. This is 16 minutes long and it's just one round, but it'll give me time to, you know, tell you exactly, you know, everything that I need to get through. So let me just sort of preface it all by saying it's very easy to, you know, tell who are versus players in OverRun. Versus players, they tend to, you know, always choose Baird because he's got a Gnasher, always choose a Grenadier because he's got a Gnasher and a Lancer and grenades, and they'll just tend to wall bounce. You know, they'll stay back, they'll Lancer things, they'll come in, wall bounce, try to Gnasher everything, or just chuck grenades in wherever they can, and honestly that never ever works. I've never seen a team where there's been a predominant amount of versus players win. They never do. They always lose. So you need to get out of that mindset that, you know, this is just like another versus game mode, and start to actually play the game as it's meant to be played. So as a general sort of, you know, way to, you know, get into it, you need to be adapting all the time to what your opponents are doing. In addition, you also need to adapt to what your team are doing as well. So if you're being, you know, overrun by a load of tickers, you need to use engineers and get those sentries up. If, you know, there's a load of grenadiers, you need to get the soldiers or the medics out. You know, you need to think about what your opponents are doing and adapt accordingly, and it's going to be the best team that adapts is ultimately going to win. Now, as the COG team, all you want to do is delay your opponents as much as possible. I mean, there are times when you will be able to stop them at an E-hole or a generator, and get the Hammer of Dawn online. But chances are, if both teams know what they're doing, that's not going to happen. So all you want to do is delay them for as long as possible. It doesn't matter how many times you die, nobody cares about kill death. All you want to do is be as effective as you can be in delaying them for as long as you can. You know, I sometimes see people leave if the generator isn't defended, which baffles me because there's a whole another round to go with Locust. So, you know, just keep them away for as long as you can, and then think about what you're doing with the Locust team. So what I'm going to do is go through each of the classes quickly, just to give you a quick overview of, you know, what you should be doing with each of the classes, so, you know, you're not totally lost. So engineers, they're basically the workhorse of the team. the best used at the start of the rounds, and the main focus should be on keeping up those fortifications. Now, as you can see here, I've basically, you know, all the fortifications are down in this, and I'm an engineer. So if I was to die at this point, I wouldn't be choosing an engineer again. I'd probably choose a soldier or a medic, something to actually, you know, get those kills. Because once fortifications are down and they start bringing out heavy hitters like this Mauler, you know, there's not a lot an engineer can do. So there's no point in having him out there. But as we start the next round, all the fortifications are back up again. Engineers are exactly what you want, because you want to keep those fortifications up as long as possible. Now remember, you know, all you want to do is delay them for as long as possible, and keeping those fortifications up is going to do that. It doesn't matter if there's, you know, you're going to see a grenadier here in the back, and a rager as well. They're going to be shooting at this fortification. Now, they can stay there for as long as they want. I don't care. All I'm going to do is keep repairing this fortification, and they're just not going to progress. They're not going to get through. So, you know, you just need to delay them for as long as possible. They can do what they want. If they're not getting through, then that's bonus to you. And obviously, a special ability of the engineer is the Sentry gun. Now, the Sentry gun is very, very, very important for wretches, for tickers. It's also quite good against grenadiers, although grenades can take them out quite easily. But, you know, if you find you're being overrun by tickers or wretches, Sentry guns are definitely the way to go. And that's why engineers are so good at the start of rounds as well, because the Locust team should be using tickers and wretches predominantly at the start of rounds rather than the heavy hitters. And also, you know, Sentry guns are also very good at killing Cerapedes as well. So, you know, the one thing that you want to remember with your Sentry gun is to use it wisely. Don't you know, they only last 10 seconds, so don't use it when nobody's around and everyone's dead. You need to be using them at the right times and for the right Locust as well. And don't put one up right next to your, if you know, there's two engineers on the team and someone's just put up a Sentry. Don't put up another Sentry right next to it. It serves no purpose and it's just a waste. So let's move on to the soldiers. Now these are the heavy hitters. These are very good for the end of the rounds when, you know, you've got larger Locusts like Maulers and Corpses, because the Booshka is very powerful. But they are also very important for ammo as well. You really, really do, if you're a soldier, need to be putting ammo out as much as possible so everyone can continue doing what they need to be doing. You know, the scouts in particular don't have a lot of ammo, so you need to be continually providing ammo for your whole team. It's vital to the success of the team, really. But yeah, basically, you know, if all fortifications are down, engineers aren't going to be much good. Soldiers are probably a good bet at that point, you know, just get that damage on, try to get as many kills as you can, try to delay them for as long as possible. Medics. Now medics are basically, you know, they're there to keep people upright, to keep people doing what they need to be doing. You know, Drakov's a medic in this game, as you see. And all he needs to do is keep stim grenades going. You know, you need to keep people up as long as possible. But also, the sword off for a medic is very, very, very good. Basically, a sword off can one-shot kill Maulers, Corpses, Grenadiers, you know, just about anything. If you can get behind someone with a sword off, like this Mauler here, for example, then that's it. That's the end of him, basically. So yeah, medics, very important to keep people upright. Stim gas, you know, it's very effective, not only to revive but to keep people alive as well, especially, you know, if engineers are by a fortification, putting a stim gas there to keep them upright is probably a good idea. So, you know, also the stim gas and the sword off, as sort of throw down the stim for yourself and rush with the sword off, you know, something like that can be very effective. Now, as you can see here, I'll just take a slight detour. There's a wretch always coming on this hill. Now, we're not quick enough to react. You know, the first wretch took off maybe, I don't know, 50% of the health on the E-hole, and that's no good at all. So you need to always be aware of what's going on and keep your eye out for that top left corner and down the percentage of the E-hole, because wretches can, you know, they can get through places where you can't. So anyway, back onto the scout. Now the scout is most effective, really, in my opinion, in the later rounds, just to debuff enemies. Now the reason for this is his beacon grenade actually lowers the health and makes it easier to kill any enemies that are within it. So when the larger locusts come, like the corpses, the maulers, having a beacon grenade on top of one of them is just going to make your life so much easier to try and kill those, you know, bigger locusts. So if you've got a scout and maybe a few Booshkas going in as well, that mauler isn't going to last very long at all. So, you know, that's why they're useful at the later rounds when, you know, there's bigger locusts coming from the opposing team, rather than at the start of rounds when, you know, you're only going to be dealing with tickers and things anyway. So, you know, they're also good for alerting players where other players are. So, you know, if there's a good balance of people on your team, you know, there's a few engineers, soldiers and medics, consider being a scout, and, you know, if you're on your own, throw beacon grenades literally just to show people where they are. Alright? But really a good balance is needed. I'll just take a slight detour here. You know, you saw me there kick that ticker. Now, kicking tickers is very important, because if you're repairing a barrier like I am here, a ticker comes up and tries to blow it up. There's nothing you can do. You haven't got a gun out at that point. The best thing you can do is press B to melee and kick that ticker away from you as far as possible. Because if you don't, you're going to die, the fortification's going to be destroyed, and there's not a lot more you're going to be able to do. Right, we're getting into the closing stages of this, so I'm going to give some general tips. It's obviously hard when you're on your own. You know, playing OverRun is always going to be better in a team. But if you are on your own, don't just choose the same class as everybody else. You know, if you've already got 3 engineers on the team, there's no need for you to be an engineer as well. Mix it up a bit. Balance is important. You know, ideally you want a good mix of all the classes to be successful. So, you know, think about what your team is doing just as much as what the opponents are doing. Now for me, an ideal, you know, starting class would probably be an engineer on both sides and a soldier on both sides with a medic in the middle, something like that, to keep the engineers and the soldiers going. The soldier can provide ammo for the engineer, and the engineer keeps the fortifications up. Now obviously there's 2 lanes in OverRun, so you know you need to split it evenly between both sides. Now that's just an idea of what you can use at the very start of a round. You obviously need to adapt as the round goes on. And sometimes, depending on what the opponents use, it might not be the best strategy either. But, you know, you need to be thinking about how you're best going to, you know, do a good strategy to beat your opponents based on what they are actually using. And, you know, if you've got 3 people on one side of the map, don't go on that side. They can do just as good a job as anyone else. Just trust them to do a job on that side and go cover the other side, because otherwise, you know, they're just gonna overrun the other side. So, you know, it's all very dependent on what the opponents are doing, obviously, and the key thing really is to just play. You know, the more you play with OverRun, more so than versus at any versus game modes, the better you're going to get. You know, you're going to learn the different tactics that opponents will use. You're going to learn better tactics for you to use. You know, it's all just going to be, you know, you're going to learn a lot more by playing and actually thinking about what's going on. And you know, it's not a case of just being able to run around and kill people whenever you want. It's a lot more tactical than that, I would say. So, you know, just play and get used to the different classes as well, because they are all effective in their own way. Right, now, you know, some other, you know, useful tips just to sort of close off this. Kicking tickers, you know, you always need to kick tickers. Be mindful of wretches. Obviously, wretches can go in places you can't, so always be mindful of, you know, where they are, and that they might be coming through when you're not looking. Sentries are very good against centipedes. Booshkas and sawed-offs are very good against the other higher tier locust, like maulers, for example. Take Cantuses out first. You know, if there's a mauler and a Cantus behind it healing it, take that Cantus out first. You're not going to be able to kill that mauler with the Cantus healing it. So take the Cantus out first, then focus on the mauler. And, you know, finally, you know, as the game progresses, change up your classes to suit what's going on and what your opponents are doing. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to get stuck with the same class and you're just going to get defeated quite easily. So yeah, there's a minute to go in this round. Basically, we managed to hold them off quite well, so we actually did a good job, and you know, we took a bit of pressure off ourselves by defending this hill. It basically means, you know, I'll talk about that more in the next video, but we basically don't have to worry about, we don't have to worry about time. All we have to do is worry about destroying the hill. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, you know, if anything that I've said here has been useful to you, if it, you know, you're gonna actually try OverRun a bit more because of this, you know, give the video a like, you know, let me know that you've enjoyed it, and you know, if you've got any tips of your own or any questions, in fact, put them down in the comments. I'll answer them. You know, if you've got any comments about OverRun, just let me know. Put the comments in the comment section down below, and I'm sure there's other people who watch this video who will be able to share some tips as well. So, you know, let's have a bit of a discussion about OverRun and see if we can all get better at it, basically. So thanks for watching, guys. The next video is going to be about the Locust side, and I'll show the second round of this gameplay. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.